All right, welcome to Your Time, Your Money, the show where your time is just as valuable as your money, and we know that. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have a special guest episode today. We're really excited about that.
Very excited. Very excited for Larry Caputo to be on with us. Larry, his mom actually is claim to fame. She is the Long Island Medium. 13 seasons, running strong. But Larry, more importantly, works at the MSG, right? And we're going to come down and visit you at MSG, Larry. We're going to come hang out with you, and hopefully we can get into the booth with you. I'm not sure like what your specified area is. I'm not good in small spaces, just a heads up. Currently you're the manager of the studio. You're in the networking operations division. You've been doing that for about 2 years, right?
So I've been with Madison Square Garden Networks.
Madison Square Garden Networks.
11 years.
Gotcha.
Everything that goes on our linear channel, MSG Sports Network, our app, MSG Plus, I have a hand in. I've had a hand in that for the past 11 years. I started with the company as the visiting coordinator, where any opposing teams for the Knicks or Rangers coming in, I would help facilitate their broadcast. Truck, crew, anything like that.
That's a lot of moving parts, man. That's a lot of people that you're interacting with.
Absolutely. A lot of networking. 5 years after that, I became the manager of studio operations. I handled everything with the Knicks and Rangers pre and post game. Any betting content that we had come out of that studio, once betting was made legal in New York State, and any other ancillary programming we would facilitate out of those two studios, I managed that. Now, currently, for going on my second year, I'm the production manager of the New York Islanders and New Jersey Devils.
Gotcha.
So I am back on the remote side of things within UBS Arena and Prudential Center. I help facilitate truck and crew for those home games, as well as when those teams go on the road. I work closely with mobile vendors, different arenas, teams, and coordinate everything that we need to get our broadcast on the air.
Yeah, so Larry, talk about that a little bit. In the show prep that I was doing, I'm not too familiar with your background with reality TV, with your mom, and that type of stuff. But being a native New Yorker, I would say there's probably a little bit of excitement in being centered around MSG in general. The Rangers, the Islanders, maybe give a little thought into how did that feel for you when you started pursuing that career and getting that career? And, I would imagine, right. You went to school in the Bronx, just being able to get into that position. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, growing up, my dad, instilled me to be a huge Rangers fan. So, coming out of school, graduating from Mount St. Vincent, now University of Mount St. Vincent. I did some PA gigs after graduating for about a year, when eventually I landed the job at Madison Square Garden Network. So I was in production doing what I like to do, and on top of that, getting to work with the Rangers, the Knicks. Any dream come true for any New York native sport fan.
You're loving life.
Yeah, I'm in the arena every game, dealing with talent, dealing with directors and producers, everyone behind the scenes. Great experience. But, and I don't know if either of you have experienced this, but again, growing up, loving the Rangers, liking the Knicks, loving the Rangers. Once you're entrenched in that, I found that I lost a little bit of my love for the team. I love the team and I love everything.
Yep.
I don't have that same passion as I did as being a true fan, because now I'm invested. My work is associated with that team.
Once you broke through that threshold, you kind of saw behind the veil, and all that magic kind of went away, right?
Yeah, it's almost like psychologically too. You watch that team and you're looking at the game from a different perspective. I'm in production now. I learn a lot. When something goes wrong, you see, you're thinking about, oh, who messed up here? Why did that go wrong?
Right.
Thinking of who's on the show and whatnot. So the perspective is a little
skewed. Yeah. Well, it's a lot like the world of philanthropy. It's you get a cause and you get an organization that you want to support, and then later if you get on the board of that organization or nonprofit or whatever, and you kind of see some of the ugly stuff behind the scenes.
Right.
I shouldn't say ugly stuff, but the logistics.
Well, it's different than you normally see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, this isn't, what I really signed up for.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but being around, I mean, you get to be around the support side, and you get to see the staff and all the moving parts. But the better part is you get to see athletes every day. You get to see their families every day. And, more and more you watch the NFL, you watch hockey, they're publicizing families of players. And more you see that, families of players are real and they are affected in a real way when something happens on the ice or when something happens on the court. And I mean, like Netflix just dropped the new special, the Receiver special, where they're talking about like someone gets hurt or someone has an issue. So are you part of that process, Larry, when something happens? Are you like reaching out to families? Are you facilitating that, or is that not part of the role that you have?
Not really part of the role that I have. I'm again in networks. So anything you see that gets on television,
sure,
with our sport teams, I have a hand in. Now, to your point though, access to teams, access to players, that's a very touch and go subject depending on the team and depending on who wants to do things, who doesn't. So for example,
gotcha.
The Knicks are a very popular team. It's hard to gain access to those players during season. They are always practicing. They need time off to spend with their families. Unless we are doing something like as a feature that they are maybe doing for branded content or charity or something that they feel strongly about, it's very hard to get access to the players during the season.
Interesting.
To do anything on television. So your example, you talked about the deal with Netflix. I would imagine Netflix had to have signed off with the NFL, those individual teams and those individuals.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving pieces in terms of production to gain access to active players based on their contracts, based on a lot of different moving pieces that a lot of the public and even people trying to work with the players might not know about.
Well, I mean, you see that. I mean, from the bigger picture with athletes, you see the really super high net worth, high like line item athletes publicized, but a lot of athletes are private, right? They have very private lives. They don't want a light shine on their lives, and it's very sticky when you start shining light because then now you know where they live and now you know what city they're in, and it just becomes a little bit of a slippery slope.
Well, it kind of mirrors too. I mean, the world, Larry, that you grew up in a little bit with reality TV.
Bring it back, yeah,
and there's only so much that fame affords you, right? Anonymity is important in a lot of cases, right? Because a lot of people, as it become more well known or whatever, they lose that, and it becomes a burden on their family. I know you were just recently married, I believe, right? With your wife who you met in college, I think.
Yes, we've been together over 15 years now.
Oh,
wow.
Married for over a year now.
I think that's in a lot of cases important to understand that, like, in some cases your high school sweetheart is more trustworthy than maybe the average person that you find after fame comes into a family, right?
Yeah. I mean, we met my freshman year of college, and the show did not kick off until fall of 2011, and I graduated spring of 2012. So I had kind of my career path set and arguably my adult life trending towards a certain way. Graduating, I had my major, I knew what was going on, and then all of a sudden this curveball comes into my life of reality television. So a lot of people coming out of the woodwork after that,
Well, yeah, you're probably getting asked to do different stuff here and there. I don't know how much did you get integrated on at all, or were you just a bystander at that point? That's, again, I don't know what I don't know.
So I'll give you a little bit of the timeline of everything, how it went from when it started to where I am now. So again, fall 2011, the show aired. That summer we did about 2 months of taping. So because I wasn't at school, I was able to be around a lot. And there was a big family dynamic within the show. So the show focused around my mom, Theresa, doing readings, whether it was in public, private, or in a group setting. And then the other aspect of the show is our family dynamic, relations between me, my dad, my mom, real life things that would happen. My mom's parents lived next door, so that was part of the thing. Um, so from there, the show goes on. I'm on it consistently throughout my, outside of the reality world. I'm still working, applying for jobs. I moved to the city. I had a job with MSG again for years. And as that went on and I was continuing with my, I'll say, non-televised life, I learned that that was more valuable than being in the public eye, as we touched on before.
Right.
I liked as I got older my anonymity. I got that word right.
Mark's
I
a
liked that
wordsmith.
as I
Mark's
got
a
older.
wordsmith.
Um, and I appreciate that more now. Um, but again, a lot of things changed throughout the years while the show was going on. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. My parents got divorced during that time.
Hmm.
Uh, right during COVID, my sister was pregnant. She now has a 2.5-year-old Michelina. They bought a house right before COVID as well. So a lot of things go on, and we evolved and grew as individuals, as a family, and it's not always in a positive trend.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, like, as someone that you were on TV, then you transitioned to try to, a normal life, right? As you've transitioned, I'm guessing you've still needed help and you've still needed guidance. Like, who have you turned to for that? And how easy is it to trust someone? I guess is my better question.
Yeah. And listen, not everyone you meet after, and the word fame for me is like so, it's like an insult to real famous people. But if you want to say somewhat of a public figure, uh I've always been able to trust a lot of people that have been brought into my life after the show premiered. A lot of people my mom works with, she has great relationships with. She has great sense of business and how to no pun intended, read people, but their true intentions and how they are as people, and not only professionals, but as good humans. A lot of those people I can trust. A lot of people I work with. Again, I've been at Madison Square Garden Network for over 11 years.
Yeah.
I trust my team that I've built relationships with in that company very much, and I confide in them both professionally and personally.
Excellent. Now you've been married for about a year. Is that right?
Yes, since I've been married since June of what's this year, 2024, so
24.
June 2023.
Don't forget your
Happy
anniversary,
anniversary.
man.
You know why I can't forget? I got married on my mother's birthday. So now I won't forget either one.
Well, that works.
But if you forget both, you're in double trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's that next phase look like for you? As you move forward with your wife and family. What's the exciting things in the lineup?
Well, right now my wife is actually pregnant. We are due to
All
have our
right.
first child at the end of September.
Nice.
So,
Get to sleep
yeah.
now while you can.
Congrats, buddy.
I know Matt behind the cameras had that experience 5 different times. So
Yeah, he likes punishment. He likes punishment.
That's why he's behind the camera.
Yes. He has less hair. He has less hair than both of us combined.
so that's an exciting change in my life. My dad has been in California for the past, geez, at least 6 years. But he's planning on moving back now because our family's growing. Again, my sister has her child. I am about to have my first. And we as a family are very close. I think almost everyone in my family lives on Long Island except for a few relatives that live in Florida and Maryland.
Hmm.
I mean, my wife is from Pennsylvania. She was born in the Midwest. We just did a road trip this summer and visited all her family that she hasn't seen in years. And it's amazing and foreign to me of how most families live so far apart. And
Right.
I feel lucky and blessed that my family has been around my entire life. very close, and I get to see everyone pretty consistently. And I think that that's an underrated family value that is important in more
It's
ways than
interesting.
one.
It's interesting you say that because some families, when they're close like that, it's drama and everyone blows up and there's
Oh, I'm not
constant
saying
issues.
there's not,
No,
but I think there's a lot more
a
positive
day
than
in the life of
negative.
Larry, right? But then sometimes families, and this is just coming from personal experience. When you have distance, it grows those bonds stronger,
Yeah.
and you become even more connected, and you have better relationships. But
You
that's
can
a great
also
point.
argue that getting on and off the island takes so long, people don't want to leave.
They don't want to leave. It just takes hours
commute.
to go through the tunnel, right?
Oh,
Rather just
please,
swim
yeah.
across the lake, right?
I think I'm only 30 something miles from my mom's house, and this weekend we just went and it took me an hour and a half.
Oh yeah.
Well,
You know,
a large,
I'm up in the Bronx, so
large part of what we do, obviously, Larry, is finance, and maybe your insight a little bit on, in the world of reality TV and slash, as you said, tentatively fame. What's that conversation like? With the parents being close about teaching you maybe financial principles, setting yourself up right financially and your family, and continuing to save through your career.
yeah. I mean, so I'll set this record straight real quick. Through the show, I had no financial contract with um the networks that we've had the show premiere on. It originally Long Island Media was on TLC, and now Raising Spirits is on Lifetime. I did not receive any financial compensation in terms of being on episodes for the seasons for those from those networks. Um, Everything we did was to support my mom and what she had to do. Um, so, you know, we wanted to make something have legs and longevity, and as it has, Long Island Medium was on TLC for over a decade, and it's now on Lifetime in their app. And that comes down to not only having something of value, but also being valuable, being affordable. If every person in my family wanted some sort of contract to say we'll make ourselves available for this many shows if you pay us X amount. How long is that sustainable within a network? And
Yeah. I
linear
was
television is always changing. There's a lot of money going into it. So
Yeah, I was more asking in the lines of education from
Right, financial
from your
literacy.
mom as a business owner.
Yeah.
yeah,
Of like,
so
hey, you
to
should be.
segue from what I was going there, the financial aspect of the budget of the show and how we navigated as a family, we came to that decision that let's get this going as long as possible, because my mom not only does the live that show on television, but she has her live show on the road. Theresa Caputo Live, The Experience. She goes across the country and does arenas for massive amounts of people, up to 5,000 people. She does casinos and theaters and stuff like that. Um, that's where a lot of her revenue is generated for.
So Larry, I wanna help and interject because the dynamic that we strive to do is educate, right? And this is where we find a lot of families, especially linear families, we struggle because when we educate, and I'm gonna do an example with you right now, live, right here. So where do you do your banking? What bank do you use?
Chase.
Perfect, Chase. Okay. Now I'm guessing you have accounts with Chase, whether it be with your wife or with your mom or whoever. So do you have TODs on file at Chase?
Explain to me what a TOD is.
Great question. I'm glad you asked me that question because the majority of viewers do not know what a TOD or a POD is. What Mark is referring to is the financial literacy that we try to drive home to our clients. A TOD is a transfer on death. It is something that you should have on all registrations across the board. Bank, 401k, IRA, stocks, whatever you have out there, whatever mail you get with a company letterhead on it, right? You got to have TODs on file. Because if you don't have TODs on file, what happens if you're not here?
I would assume it goes to the government.
Probate, right?
Yeah.
So this is why Mark is asking you this question, is because when I was younger, I would see a sale, I would see a potential client, and I would get so excited that I would forget about these train tracks that you got to lay down. And I listened to Mark talk to somebody, and he asked this question, and I watched the light bulb go on. And the question you just asked me, what's a TOD? That's effectively the light bulb flipping on in your head. And hopefully you're going to stop at your bank and say, hey, by the way, JP Chase, do I have TODs on file? And if they say no, you're going to say, okay, give me the forms I need because I want to put them on file as my wife, as my primary Benny. Right?
Okay.
Now, this is great because you know what? You just learned something. You're probably going to go ask your mom the exact same question, right? And I the light bulb, right? We just had a light bulb moment. And this is where lightning strikes, baby. You go ask your mom this question, and she's probably going to say, what's a TOD? Okay? Furthermore, if you have a bank account with more than $250,000 in it, you run the risk of what? Mark?
Yeah, not being under FDIC.
Right.
Insurance.
So if someone has an account with more than $250K in the bank without multiple accounts broken out, and that bank goes under, guess what? There's a potential to lose whatever's over 250K. So that's the literacy that Mark's talking about that we thrive on teaching because it's so simple and you don't realize that that one little form can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars and hours of court time.
Yeah, and it's across all dynamics.
It's all dynamics.
Professional athletes,
everyone.
People, notoriety, people, just mom and pop in a trailer.
You'd be surprised. I would say 1 in 50 people know what a TOD is, and I'm glad I could talk to you about it because that's.
I was one of the 49.
You were one of the 49. You fell out of that. You did not fill on the sample group where we watched your mom's show growing up. We were not in that sample group. You're not in this one. That's okay. But I think the reason why Mark brought that question up was that as you go through stuff with your wife, we try to engage our clients and our viewers in these meaningful conversations about, hey, by the way, Larry, do you have an estate plan set up? Do you have healthcare proxies and POAs set up? You're about to be a dad.
Yeah, and eventually guardianship paperwork.
Okay, if you don't have these things set up, guess what you got to do?
I got to stay on the call after we're done.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Now Larry's starting to think the way I'm thinking. But this is how normally we handle our appointments. And the cool part about it is, man, is we're going to try to meld whatever lifestyle you're accustomed to, right? And we're going to try to teach you the method to be more successful. And that could be a piece of paper, or it could be a conversation with an attorney, or it could be a conversation with a parent. So that's where we try to strive, and I'm glad we did it live. And I wish we were on the air right now because that aha moment was so cool. But that's where we really where we thrive as a partnership.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean that $250,000 thing. I'm not gonna have to worry about that. I don't know if
not yet. Whoa! Not yet.
Have that problem.
Not yet. Not yet. Let's not get. Not yet. You're not gonna have to worry about it, right?
Where do you see kind of your career going right now? Are you looking at advancing within the MSG Network organization? Has that been something where you've thought that out?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to advance within MSG Networks. I've been doing live sports again for over a decade. One of my biggest influences is the VP of my department, Jackie Lyons. She was one of the first female directors within the sports industry.
Wow.
She was the director of the New Jersey Devils for a number of years and has been employed by MSG for over 40 years. And she knows everything front and back of television, the business side of it, the production side of it. And I've been under her tutelage for the entire time I've been hired. So I'd love to continue that relationship and gain as much knowledge from that in my industry as possible. And I'd love to continue that with MSG Networks. If my career takes me to somewhere else within the production world, I'm also up for that. But I do love television. I love production, and I want to continue my career in that.
Sounds like you love what you do just as much as we love what we do, right? Gotta love what you do, man. If you love what you do, you don't ever work a day in your life.
Tour and throw out terms like TOD to you, and then
I'll come on your show and you can get the light bulb moment with me. I'll be like, oh, cool. This is what the teleprompter looks like. We don't have those.
Hey, funny thing, MSG doesn't use teleprompters. We have them, but our talent does not use them.
Listen, me and Mark, we can stand toe-to-toe with your talent, all right?
I'll tell Bill Pito.
Let's go.
Well,
Let's
might
go.
Be head and shoulders above it.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd fit on your sets, dude. About 6'6" over here.
You know, we got Alan Hahn, Wally Zerbiak on that set. I mean, those guys are 6'3", 6'5".
Yeah, I don't know if the furniture would hold me. I got a special swirly chair back here.
He's not kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
Well, Larry, thank you so much for joining us today. We wish you the best in everything that you do. Any main shout-outs that you want to give while you're on?
MSG Networks.
Is there any?
But besides that, yeah, I mean, again, I'm a normal person outside of being associated with my mom. I don't really have anything outside in the limelight going on, but please keep up with Theresa Caputo. Go on her website, theresacaputo.com. Look for live shows. Her shows they'll blow your mind. And once you see her do her thing live, your outlook on life will change. I promise you that.
So
right now, her show. Excuse me.
Is she coming locally at any point to Albany?
She does Buffalo all the time. I think she does Albany. But I know she does Buffalo, the casino up by Niagara Falls a lot.
Is she doing because Proctor's is around here? Proctor's Theater.
Yeah, she might. I don't know all the venues she does, but I do know a few. And upstate New York, I know Buffalo is one of the main hubs. She does Canada very frequently as well, Toronto and Montreal.
Well, we have a pretty fun women's event coming up soon. Maybe you guys should stop up and check it out. Maybe your mom, you can nominate your mom. We have a nomination event coming up.
Each year we do a Woman of Breakthrough Award.
Yeah.
And this year we have some...
With the TOD form, send me over the nomination.
we can send you both forms. We can send you both forms to do that.
Excellent. And as always, if our listeners, like this episode and want to get some more quality contact in all different venues, you can reach Iron Tree Financial at 43 British American Boulevard in Latham, New York, 12110. You can reach us at 844-444-YTYM for Your Time, Your Money. You can also find us at yourtimeyourmoney.net for your net worth. And as always, it's your time
and your money.